Welcome everyone, TheDailyWoo here. Happy Friday. Coming to you from suburbia. The small communities and towns that spring up just shy of a major metropolis. I guess technically this would not be a suburban community, even though Los Angeles is off in the nether regions. This is not Los Angeles, this is Orange County. But it's interesting because I moved here from Florida, and in Florida, when people would ask from another state that we're not familiar with Florida small towns, and they would ask where I was from, I would sometimes say, I'm from Orlando, when technically I was 30 minutes or so from Orlando in St. Cloud. And the same goes here in California. Those that have not been to the West Coast, when they ask, where do you live now currently in California? Sometimes I will say, oh, I live in the Los Angeles area, even though technically this is not the Los Angeles area. Orange County is a whole separate county, even though it's only about 20 miles or so from downtown Los Angeles, 25 miles maybe, give or take. In California traffic terms, that means it's about 3.5 hours during rush hour. It's my second channel, daily blog channel. It's The Daily Woo with my sweet Mr. Miyagi t-shirt, coming to you from this housing development in Yorba Linda, California. And why does the name Yorba ring a bell to those people who live in Yorba Linda? Because he created and established this cemetery that is smack dab in the middle of a housing development. The hustle and bustle of society, people coming home at night, leaving in the morning, dropping their kids off on the side of the streets for school. And you got to wonder if they know up on the top of this hill is the oldest cemetery in Orange County, California, created in the 1850s. And the last person who was actually buried at the cemetery I'm about to show you was in the early 1900s. And now the cemetery is closed off. No one is being buried here anymore. Everyone that is buried here is never going to be visited by someone else who's going to be buried here. I do not know where I'm going with that. Let's just say no more people will be visiting this graveyard, at least being put into the ground to spend the rest of their time here on Earth will not be entering this graveyard. Say hello to the oldest cemetery in Orange County, California, the Yorba Cemetery. Shonko kong 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 gong. Gonk. No trespassing. And if you see any vandalism, make sure you call that number. Or don't. It's my second channel, daily blog channel. It's The Daily Woo. This is very interesting. I had a very hard time finding this. I thought it was going to be a cemetery that was very easy to find. But as I pulled in here, I thought, I think my GPS system on my phone is steering me wrong, because why would a cemetery be in a lovely neighborhood like this? And then as I parked and I started to wander the streets of this little housing development, I discovered some wrought iron gates at the top of a hill. I climbed the hill and I found this very interesting cemetery. Now the cemetery on its own is very interesting because you can see a lot of the original fences that are actually around the graves. You can see some of the original crosses, and you can see the old headstones all inside here. Now, the gate is actually locked and closed up. They allow you to visit here, I believe, one Saturday a month, and it's very interesting. This is not open to the public, so you cannot go and pay your respects inside there unless you come on the one Saturday a month that they actually open the gates. But the very interesting thing, the very peculiar thing I find very interesting about this particular cemetery, other than the fact of the facts that I've actually shared with you already, is the fact that there is a mystery around this, a ghost story around this, a very interesting urban legend around this particular property. A crow just flew by over this tree. That was pretty awesome, actually. This is a fantastic scene, something out of almost a movie. These trees, the birds, the wrought iron fence, the old old-timey, historical graves. And there's one grave in here that belongs to a woman with the nickname, the Pink Lady. And the story goes that in mid-June, on a year that ends, I believe, in an even number, so not this year, this is 2015, no, ends on an even number. So this year would be an odd number, 2015. Next year is an even number. In mid-June, I cannot remember the date, I think it might be June 15th, between midnight and 4 a.m., story goes that local residents over all these years, since the early 1900s, they see the woman come up from her grave and wander the headstones to pay respects to the rest of her family and friends who are buried in this cemetery. Now, what I am telling you is basically coming out of my brain, which does not function correctly most of the time, and I'm spewing these words out of my mouth. And because these vlogs are unedited, please do not hold any inaccurate facts and figures that I am telling you. Don't hold that against me. Please do your own research and look up the Yorba Cemetery and the ghost, the urban legend, the mysterious stories behind the Pink Lady. And leave some comments down below about what I have shared with you, if it is actually true or if it is just some fabrication that maybe my brain has made up or maybe the internet has made up, and it really does not hold any actual truth or factual facts? Is that actually a terminology? I am not sure. I was really hoping I could find her grave, but that is actually not going to happen today. But you can see through these fantastic fences the graves that are in there. Very cool. And when you actually go up to the front, they actually have a little informative area here on the history of this cemetery. History speaks softly. The Yorba Cemetery captures Orange County's rich rancho history. In 1858, Bernardo Yorba deeded this parcel to the Catholic Church for a cemetery. And here is the original chapel, which no longer is out here. The chapel no longer exists. So where we are standing, there was actually a chapel building. In the 1890s, a wooden San Antonio chapel replaced the original adobe church under construction when Bernardo Yorba died. So we're standing basically in the same vicinity where the church was. Perhaps the church could have been standing right there next to the cemetery. Several of the grave sites were once defined with elaborate fencing. You can see the fencing. And actually, I showed you earlier, if you rewind it, you can actually see inside there are a couple of those fences left at all. Here is a photo capturing the view towards the hills and away from the freeway. This photograph shows how largely undeveloped this land was in the 1960s. So check this out. There are no homes as early back as the 1960s on this hill, which is that hill where all those homes have been developed. That's what it looked like 50 years ago. Very, very interesting. And check this out. Here is one of the several cattle brands used by Bernardo Yorba. That's actually his cattle brand, which actually, that's the way ranchers, farmers, when they actually like signify which cattle they own, they actually brand their cattle. And that was his, which also leads me to this. This is actually Yorba Linda. Where did the Linda come in? Obviously, Yorba was that gentleman right here, created this cemetery that now houses the Pink Lady, the ghost of the Pink Lady. Does anyone know where the Linda came in? Yorba Linda, California. We know where the Yorba is. What is the Linda? That is your homework assignment as I show you this one last item, this walkthrough of awesomeness. Look at this. This gateway to the Pink Lady through this fence. And there is the sign right down there. I've actually answered my question. Closed. We invite you to visit and tour this site on the first Saturday of each month. starting at 11 a.m. So maybe one day I will come back and actually tour that. And check this out. This is actually an old, very old relic of the historical information. This was placed here in 1981. A little more information that was actually written on that newer one in 1858. 1858, not 1958. Don Bernardo Yorba, son of one of the first land grantees in Southern California and major landowner in his own right, set aside this land as a cemetery. For almost a century, members of many early California families were buried here, including the Pink Lady. And you can see this grave here, 1934. 1870 to 1934. So pretty cool. Pretty interesting stuff here in California. I'm always on the quest to find interesting things. I do read the comments you guys leave down below. So if you have any other interesting things you want me to visit or see or show you vicariously, you will be watching this. So technically you are joining me vicariously together. That's what I do here on The Daily Woo. I do a different unedited vlog every single day. And by subscribing, it's absolutely free to subscribe. You can keep up with my journeys, keep up with my wacky opinions about life, what I am doing, some of the wonderful things that I show you. I do cemeteries sometimes, I do roadside attractions, I do theme parks, I do movie locations. On this channel, this unedited vlog that I do every single day, as well as my main channel, the Adam the Woo channel, YouTube/Adam the Woo. Subscribe to that one. And then, if you're feeling a little frisky, feel free to subscribe to this channel as well, The Daily Woo. You can also check down below for my t-shirts. AdamTheWoo.Spreadshirt.com has t-shirts on there. They'll ship it anywhere in the world, any size, any color, any shape, any design that is on AdamTheWoo.Spreadshirt.com. Go over there, get yourself an Adam the Woo t-shirt, and I will see you guys tomorrow. But remember, if you subscribed, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to see me tomorrow. So if you like seeing this face, or you like seeing things like this, or you like seeing this weird owl-shaped face on a tree type of things, look at that. Look at that weird, creepy face. Look at that right there. It's got a nose. Look at this. It has a nose and a mouth and two eyes. Do you see that? Look at this right there. It has a nose protruding out, a tree branch nose, a mouth, and two eyes. What the heck is that? If you want to see stuff like that, please subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I almost just tumbled down that hill. I'm not even kidding. I almost lost my footing and my knee gave out and I almost fell to my doom. Bad thing is, if I perished here on this land, they would not allow me to be buried in that cemetery because no more people will be buried in that cemetery. Maybe it's because of the Pink Lady. Why do they call her the Pink Lady? Why don't they just call her by her normal name? Why is she pink and why does she wander the grounds on one night out of every 2 years? Very weird how urban legends and mysterious ghost stories start, isn't it?